Hey guys, and welcome! BattleBit Remastered has just launched into its early access this week after a long time of bigger and small playtests, and in today's video I want to show you some mechanics you should definitely know when starting into the game, because they do not only improve your personal experience a lot, but also team play, and that's what this game is all about. So let's not waste any time and get right into it with the first important gameplay mechanic, and that's the bandaging. You might have already recognized that when you get heavily wounded, you need to bandage yourself by holding 3, otherwise you will bleed out and die. But of course you can only do this as long as you have bandages in your inventory. So the first thing you should know is that you can see the number of bandages in the bottom right corner of your HUD at this little cross icon. When you spawn into the match, you have 4 of them with you, and if you should run dry, you can always resupply them at an ammo crate or at one of these large supply drops. But what you should know as well is that you can not only bandage yourself, but also all other players, no matter if they are part of your squad or only of your team. The game doesn't give you any hint whether a player needs bandaging or not unless you are a medic, but when you are standing close to them, there might be a message coming up that says bandage player XYZ. And with this you can also help others that might be under fire and have a hard time bandaging themselves, or who have run out of bandages already. What you can do as well is drop bandages for your teammates simply by pressing X when you have them in your hand, but of course this only works as long as you have at least one in your pockets yourself. What's also important to know is that the bandages will not heal you or your teammates up completely, because this can only be done by a medic. So if you see a message saying you are being healed by this and that player, don't run away and let the medics do their job. And that leads me to the second gameplay mechanic, the revives. And the reason I point this out specifically is that in BattleBit, not only the medic class can revive everyone, but actually everyone can revive everyone. Just walk up to a downed player, no matter if it is a squad mate or a normal teammate, and hold 3 to revive them. What you should know though is that when you are not a medic, revives will use up your bandages, and once they're all gone, you can't stop yourself from bleeding anymore. So when you have done 3 revives already, you should consider wisely if you want to spend your last bandage on a teammate or keep it for yourself. What's also important to know is that revives will not give you full health, no matter if you got revived by a medic or any other class, so you will get down faster after it. But if there's a medic around, they usually heal you up and you should be good to go. What's also connected to the revives is the drag mechanic, and this is something that got the game a lot of attention because it was actually supposed to be added to the Battlefield series with Battlefield 5, which is apparently a franchise BattleBit took a lot of inspiration from. But over there it never happened, and I gotta be honest, when I saw it here in BattleBit it really made me laugh, especially when knowing this background story. However, for your gameplay, the drag mechanic is very important and useful as well, because it means that you can walk up to a downed player, press F, and then grab them and drag their body to another spot where it's safer to do a revive. And you don't even have to let go of them before starting the revive, because while dragging you can also hold 3 and then do the revive on the side. So you can actually use both mechanics at the same time, which is even cooler. Or you drag your mate away from the battlefield and another player revives them, or the other way around. All of this works and makes the team play feel so much better in this game. But what you can do as well, and that's quite funny, is to drag enemy players around and move them away from their allies so they can't get revived, or let them fall down a cliff or into a lake. It's a huge sandbox where you can create many hilarious moments and situations. What adds to this even more is the fully destructible environment, in which you can damage almost all kinds of structures or completely remove them from the map when using enough explosives. But what you should be aware of is that buildings, or at least parts of them, will collapse when they take enough damage, no matter how big this building is. This starts with a rumbling sound and a bit more intense shake of your screen, and will definitely kill you if you are inside of it. So if you should notice something like this while you are in a damaged building, make sure to get out of there. But what BattleBit gives you as well, alongside of the option to destroy everything, is to build new structures whenever you need them and to call in helpful reinforcements. And all of this can be done with the Fortification System. To bring it up, you need to hold the middle mouse button and then select the kind of structure or reinforcement you need. At the moment, there are 4 ground deployables available, which is the HESCO wall, a barrier, and 2 kinds of sandbag walls, and these are accessible to all players of a squad. To place them, just select the one you want and position it. The barrier will be immediately built in its entirety, but the HESCO and the sandbag walls need to be built up manually by holding F when close to them. If you want to remove one of these fortifications or lower them by a step or two, you can simply unbuild by holding caps lock. A fortification that can only be built by the squad leader, on the other hand, is the rally point, and this allows all squad members to spawn at it as long as it's not destroyed. It requires a bit of space to be placed and should also be hidden from the enemy a bit, but it's definitely helpful to get faster back into the match. And then the last two fortifications are the supply box and the air support, but the latter doesn't seem to be available yet. The supply box, however, can be called in by all members of the squad again and allows you to provide resupplies of ammunition, bandages and explosives to all of your teammates. So it's basically a bigger ammo box. In the bottom left of the screen, you can always see what kind of fortifications are available and how many of them, and also how many points your squad has already collected, because that's the currency with which these fortifications need to be paid. For every action your squad does, for example following an order that was given by the squad leader or simply capturing or defending objectives, you will earn these squad points. If you have enough of them, you can spend them in the fortification menu. Another one of these very useful mechanics that the game has is the ping system, because this allows you to mark dangerous situations or even enemies and their vehicles for your squad and let them know what's going on around you. To use the ping system, simply point your crosshair at a spot and then press the middle mouse button, and if you only ping a situation, there will be a white marker set that disappears automatically after about 10 seconds, and if you spot an enemy or one of the vehicles directly, the game will place a red marker. The time these markers are visible is always the same, and they are also only visible for yourself and your squad mates, but not for the rest of your team. What you should know as well is that you can not only ping situations when you are alive, but also when downed. So if an enemy has surprised you or there is someone sitting in the corner right next to your body, ping these situations for your squad to let them know that there is danger close by. This can help them to be more aware of their surroundings and also to decide if they should come for a revive or not. If you feel like the marker of the pings is too small and you would like to adjust the size, you can do this in the options and then gameplay. By default, this is set to 100, which is pretty small in my opinion, and the maximum size is 500, which is surely a bit too big. I personally have set it to 200 because I think that's the perfect middle and has a good visibility, but without being too distracting. And now let's talk about 3 things that are connected to your weapon and that might even help you to survive more gunfights, starting with the 2 different reloads. Because when normally pressing R after firing a bullet or emptying your magazine, your soldier will do the so-called tactical reload. This means that the empty magazine is removed from the weapon and replaced with a full one, but it stays in your pockets. So in the bottom right you can see it as empty now. But when you hold the R button instead of only tapping it, you will trigger the drop reload, and that means that the empty magazine is dropped to the ground, which allows for a much faster reload. What you should know here though is that the drop magazine gets lost if you don't pick it up again, and that you won't be able to replace these drop magazines when resupplying. So if you have used this drop reload 2 times and you are left with only 2 magazines now, you can resupply these 2 at an ammo crate or supply drop, but won't get the ones back that you have thrown away. You will only spawn with all magazines again when redeploying. But what you can do as well is to pick them up again once you have the time to do so, or you pick up the magazines another player has dropped if they have the same weapon. So the best way to use this mechanic is to only drop the mags when you are in a situation where you need to reload fast, and then pick them up again if possible. If you don't like the handling of the different reloads and you would like to change it, you can set different inputs in the options under controls, and by default this is set to hold for the drop reload, but I've set it to a single tap for the tactical and double tap for the drop. In addition, you can also change the double tap delay. But even if you are not dropping your magazines and you keep all of them in your pockets, you might not always fully empty them. So at some point you will end up having several magazines with only a few bullets each, and it's not fun going into a gunfight like this. But even for this problem, the game has a very helpful mechanic, and that's to combine these magazines. So once you have 2 half-full magazines or more in your pockets, you simply hold P and your soldier will move the bullets from one magazine to the other one to fill it up again. In the overview, the magazine on the right is always the one you have in your weapon, and the ones on the left are the empty or half-full ones. What you can do as well, in addition to dropping or combining, is to check your current magazine when pressing H, and when doing this, it will be temporarily removed from your weapon and the amount of bullets that are left will be shown as a number in the middle of your screen. The numbers are pretty small and I haven't found an option to make them bigger yet, but it's the only way to see how full your magazine still is, because there's no counter for it anywhere in your HUD. And at the end, let's have a look at an alternative way of throwing your grenades, because BattleBit also offers you different mechanics for this. So when toggling G, you will normally throw a grenade into the air, and when you look up or down, the grenade will be thrown further or not so far. But what you can do as well is an underhand throw, and this means that your soldier just rolls the grenade from the hand to the ground. To do it, you need to toggle the grenade key like before and then quickly hold the right mouse button until the grenade is thrown. And this can be very helpful to get them through small spaces into buildings or downstairs. So if you haven't used this mechanic yet, be sure to give it a try and surprise your enemies with a sneaky explosive. And that's it for today. 10 mechanics you should definitely know when you play BattleBit Remastered. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to drop a like or a comment below and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching and thanks to my members for the additional support. I'm the Catwoman and you are awesome.